This fantasy football draft's about to start, but we are actually in a second one. I am hoping that we are going to be able to fill the Mastiff in this live stream. This is a $1,000 fantasy football draft tournament where the top 3 teams in your 12-team league will advance to the fantasy football playoff tournament. Week 15, you'll have to go up against 6 people. And if you are one of the top 2 scoring teams there, you'll advance to week 16, where there'll be 4 people. If you're one of the top 2 scoring teams, you'll advance to week 17, where there'll be 10 people. And if you get first, you get 50,000. Second, 25,000. Third, 12.5. Fourth, 10,000, all the way down the line. Now, with that being said, that draft's not close to filling. So we are going to do some other drafts first. This is going to be Best Ball Mania. This is the largest underdog tournament. This is the largest fantasy football tournament in the world. This is a $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool, $2 million up top for first. Highest I've ever finished is 16th place in this bad boy, but we are going to do our best. We have Joey, a long-time member of the flock, drafted in 10 minutes. My guy, good luck, and I'm sure you're going to crush it. Really appreciate you. Definitely best of luck in that draft. And let's go ahead and let's get this going. So we have Chase, Jefferson, Bijan off with the first 3 picks. So if we're looking at the Jefferson price tag, realistically, I'm not going to fault people for pushing him back up here to 2. He is back at practice. I just kind of like the idea of starting with a Barkley, a Bijan, Gibbs there instead. So I probably wouldn't have done it myself, but I'm not going to fault anybody at all. Nick is asking if the $1,000 draft's going to fill. We will see, hopefully. We got a long way to go for now, though. Now, let's move this back. I know who I want for damn sure, and we are going to get him. We are going to get Puka Nacua. Puka's been sliding with the Stafford stuff, but Stafford's back at practice. And honestly, with Underdog, these wide receivers are going to get pushed up. So I'm going to be completely fine to just take Brian Thomas here at pick 13. I think I've noticed Brian Thomas sliding down just a bit, given the reports of Travis Hunter probably playing 80% of the offensive snaps there for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But honestly, I'm not stressing it whatsoever. Coach Love says, hey, man, you're winning the Flock League this year. Thank you, my friend. And the reason I'm winning the Flock League this year, no lie, if y'all remember last year, and I'm going to be honest with y'all, okay? 100% honest. So last year in the Flock League, the draft did not go well. And I believe the reason is I did not actually take any draft sheets to the draft. Also, I didn't realize how much fun the Flock League was going to be last year. I didn't realize how important it was going to be. So I didn't really prep much. I mean, I did a bunch of underdog drafts, and I was assuming I was going to be good because of that. But we just kind of drafted off vibes, and it did not go well. I mean, we still finished 9-5, still got the bye, but I didn't win the league. The reason I'm winning the league this year, the reason my draft this year is so much better than it was last, is because I actually took that draft sheet. Y'all saw me in the video where every time player went off, I was just crossing them off my board. So I knew exactly when I was on the clock who to pick. I mean, some other guys in the league, like they would get sniped and they'd have to wait 5 minutes to make their decision. It was like, okay, I know this is my plan A, plan B, plan C. Second, I'm on the clock. I'm like, okay, plan B's there. Let's take him. So we are going to make sure that I can do my best to have y'all confident in your own drafts. So I'm grinding my little booty away off on those 2025 draft sheets. They will be updated tomorrow. So, of course, if you wanted to get those draft sheets, the cheapest way to do so is by taking advantage of the offer that we have with Underdog Fantasy, which is where we're drafting right now, which is where I've drafted every single night for 4 years straight. It's best ball. It's not going to replace your main fantasy football league. There's no time commitment at all during the year. Best starting lineup submitted automatically at the end of every single week. And at the same time, no waiver wire, no trades. That's why your drafts are so long. But if you deposit just $10 using promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, every Friday, you are going to get sent the updated 2025 Flock draft sheets, which there will be 50 of them. Obviously, y'all have already seen these. If y'all are members of the site, you can go ahead and see the 2025 Flock draft sheets here. We are going to get the updated 50 sheets out tomorrow. I've been working on them. And yeah, they'll go to the email address that you signed up to Underdog Fantasy with if you use code FLOCK. And at the same time, Underdog actually has a new offer as well. They used to do the 50% deposit match, but now all you have to do is play $5 on Underdog Fantasy if you're a new user, and they add $50 into your account, which is insane in my opinion. When they emailed me that this morning, I was like, are y'all sure? That doesn't sound like that. Y'all can make money doing that, but they're finding a way. So if you wanted to get those draft sheets, if you wanted to draft with us, which we're doing every single night, get in some extra drafts, not replace your main one. Underdog Fantasy is the way to go about it. You do need to be in one of these states, though. If you wanted to draft on Underdog, good news is, if you look at the map here, they're available in pretty much every single state. They're available in like 45 plus. But let's move this over. So Marvin Harrison off the board at pick 34. James Cook, 35. We're going to take Garrett Wilson here easily. And honestly, F it. I feel like we haven't done this in an underdog draft in quite some time, but we've already taken Puka Nacua, right? So if we were going to turn $25 into $2 million hypothetically with this draft, what we need to do is we need to get our round one pick right. How do we get our round one pick right if we drafted Puka? Matthew Stafford's fully healthy and the back is not a concern whatsoever. So now we are going to be taking Devontae Adams, because we can just double down on that bet. And if the Matthew Stafford thing was correct, then we have an insane ceiling here. And yeah, again, it's code FLOCK for the $50 credit for using $5 on the app now. It used to be the 50% match, but now it's the $50 credit for $5 play, which is just ridiculous. E. Lewis says, does it work in Canada? It works everywhere in Canada outside of Ontario. Wendy says, are the puppy drafts filled? Yes, I think they just dropped the $12 pug. And at the same time, they will have the $10 flock tournaments on Underdog drop every Friday, Sunday, and Tuesday night. So we should have a new flock tournament that we can hop in tomorrow night. Okay. Lou says, love the way Mason says 50. How do you say it? 50. Okay. Jamison Williams off the board at 44. Obviously, when we start 4 wide receivers here, the hope is we get a running back follower that we like. Like, I definitely need at least one running back at the 5-6 turn. There's no way in hell we can get away with going 0 running backs in the first 6 rounds. Okay. Saab says, why does Devon Achane go behind Bucky, Taylor, and Henry? Achane's been sliding a bit given what you have with the injury. I am obviously working my little booty off on those rankings, like I already said. And y'all have no idea the update that is coming to flockfantasy.com. The devs have been grinding their little booties off. And this is just one of the many updates where you're about to be able to use the rankings page and pull in all the stats that you want. So like you can go through and like say, oh, I want to pull in the player's age. I also want to look at their points per game as an example, right? So you can go through and you're going to be able to pull all this stuff in on the rankings page when you want. But you can see I've been updating mine. I've spent the majority of the day doing this. And with all the minor adjustments, like we moved Achane down to the bottom of this tier behind Derrick Henry and the wide receivers, given the injury. Okay. The hoodie has arrived. That's happy to see it. Lalaster says Grinder. Can y'all please spam the chat? Yes or no? Do you think Danny should move to Austin, Texas permanently? Yes or no? Does Danny need to move to Austin, Texas permanently? He can start grinding the way that we do in these underdog drafts. And also, it'll be a little bit easier for my Flock League trades if I could just ride down the street and get a little negotiation going. Okay. Now, Dino says, should I use the rankings or draft guides? I would recommend using the draft sheets, because the draft sheets that we post on flockfantasy.com you can find your exact platform and your exact league settings. And obviously there'll be adjustments there from the typical rankings. If you had to draft right this second and you're not going to get the updated draft sheets until tomorrow, we're going to take Kamara for sure. Kamara's the auto pick, and then we'll take Rashee Rice. F it. Rashee Rice, our wide receiver 5. We have enough wide receiver firepower to get us through a suspension. And we are chasing the highest ceiling we could possibly get weeks 15 through 17, and we're hoping Rice doesn't get suspended during that stretch. But if you had to pick between using the draft sheets or the rankings tonight, I would say probably use the rankings. Because again, the draft sheets haven't been updated since last Friday, and so much crap has changed. Okay. Now let's move this over. Deebo Samuel goes off the board at 62. I freaking love our team. I just noticed Jaden Daniels made it all the way down to 46. I don't know if I've ever seen Daniels fall that far. So steal the draft. Judkins is out. Okay. Right. So Schmidt over Dodd in the flock league this year. That is true. That is true. Tony Pollard goes 66. Rabona says, Mason just joined. Are you going to do a big dog? I am in a $1,000 Mastiff lobby right now. I cannot guarantee that it fills. It's looking pretty damn empty at this point. But throwing out the gauntlet. We had a bunch of people in the live stream that we were doing previously when we were reviewing teams on the site ask if we were going to get in the $1,000 Mastiff since it just dropped today. I said yes. We sold a bunch. I mean, I didn't say yes, and then we sold a bunch of team reviews on the site. Sold a bunch of team reviews on the site, so I'm like, F it, let's go. $1,000 draft. So we're in there right now. We'll see if we can actually fill it. Okay. Noah the Goat says, do you wish you had Quinshon Judkins' hair? Now, I don't know if I would be able to pull it off the way that he can, but in general, yes. Okay. Zay Flowers makes it all the way down to 71. What the hell? Zay Flowers used to go at the beginning of the 5th in all these drafts. This is wild. Butter says, do you think Judkins going to sign by week 1? I hope he does. I've drafted him in too many underdog drafts for him not to. Now, is it a guarantee? No. Should you take him in the 5th round? Hell no. But I hope he signed by week 1. Next has been some crazy value drafts today. I say this every year, but I feel like the best time to draft on Underdog in terms of like the competition is the 2 weeks before the season's here. Because when we're freaking grinding against like tryhards in May, I'm dying out there. Here I feel we get into these drafts and it's like, okay, let me cook. Let me cook. Okay. Let's see. Montgomery goes at pick 78. UTOP says, no crap, no casuals are drafting in May. Yeah. Seems like a solid thing that I should try to remind myself when we're drafting in May. Hey, when you're in May, why don't we take a little chill pill? Maybe we only do 1 draft a day. Maybe we save those other drafts for when we can go up against some casuals in late August. I say that as a casual myself. Now, dear God, we just saw freaking Tyler Warren get drafted before Sam Laporta. Now, that is crazy, crazy stuff. Okay, we're going to take Aaron Jones for damn sure, and then I think at this point we probably go TJ Hawkinson. Or do we take Tyrone Tracy and just play catch-up at running back? We're going to go Tracy. Tracy's been steaming up with the Cam Scattaboo hamstring. So we'll take him as our 3rd running back. And at the same time, we had some excitement with the New York Giants offense with Jackson Dart in there today. Okay. SG says, is this full PPR? Underdog is half PPR. Hence, you see us get Alvin Kamara at pick 60. And you do have to start 3 wide receivers on Underdog. But again, they're automatically started for you. So like if you draft Darius Slayton in your last round and Darius Slayton randomly pops off with a long receiving touchdown, he'll slide into your starting lineup. Amen says, is Underdog free? After the new promo that they just put out, like I said, if you use code FLOCK and you play $5, they add $50 into your account. It's about as close to being free as you can get without being actually free. Okay. Jaden Higgins goes 91. Kadarius Toney says they have $0 drafts on Underdog. I guess maybe they do have zero. They have no $0 tournaments on Underdog. It would be smart as hell if they did like $0 tournaments and like just $1,000 first place prize. I guess they have so many people drafting that it's like, hey, we don't really need to worry about getting more people drafting. We can do paid drafts and then charge like a 10% rate. So Shakir all the way down at 94. Kelsey goes 95 to the Patrick Mahomes team. Keon Coleman goes 96. Michael Pittman Jr. goes 97. And again, I do want to reiterate that with those draft sheets, you get them by signing up on Underdog. But please don't get mad at me. They're not meant for your Underdog drafts. Like on flockfantasy.com, we don't have stuff to help you win in Underdog drafts. Flockfantasy.com is built out to help you in like your regular redraft league. Like your ESPN, your Yahoo, your Sleeper, your NFL Fantasy, your CBS, like a regular redraft league like that. That's what we've geared everything to. So if you're using the draft sheets that you get for signing up to Underdog, if you are using the rankings on the site, if you're using anything on the trade calculator on the site, the My Teams page on the site, if you're using any of this, just understand that this is geared towards your regular redraft league. I definitely love Underdog drafts. Y'all know I have a ridiculous amount of fun in these, but they're very different in that you have to make sure that you are strong with your roster construction since there's no ad drops and your rosters are locked. You need to be taking 2 to 3 quarterbacks, 4 to 6 running backs, 2 to 3 tight ends, and the rest of your spots need to be wide receiver. Jonathan says, when are you dropping week 1 rankings? I may or may not have just recorded a diabolical video for y'all. That is our top 100 2025 fantasy football rankings that will drop on the channel tomorrow. Bo Nix, we are going to take here. We're going to go back-to-back Denver Broncos. We're going to take Bo Nix and J.K. Dobbins. I actually don't love the Dobbins pick. I feel like we should be taking Travis Etienne there instead, but F it. We took Dobbins, and let's live with it. The Dork Side says, the website ranking got me my championship last year. Linking your team to compare your league mates is such a great feature, and you have no idea what's about to come to this feature in the coming days, my friend. It's supposed to be tomorrow. That's what the dev said. We are about to have like the biggest update the site's ever seen tomorrow. The devs have been working on this for so long. I think y'all are going to love it. I can't guarantee that it comes out tomorrow because, again, whenever we said that the Flock League video was going to come out on Tuesday, and then it came out Tuesday night at like 2 a.m., everybody lost their goddamn minds, understandably. So I'm not guaranteeing y'all that y'all get the massive update tomorrow, but it's looking pretty likely, and y'all are going to absolutely love it. And obviously, if y'all wanted to access all that stuff on the site, including all the tools that we have, like the My Teams tool, like the trade calculator, trade finder, prospects page, range of outcomes tool, whole 9 yards, this will be the only season ever that it's this cheap. It is the best site for you to dominate your redraft leagues, and it is the cheapest as well. $34 gets you access to everything until January 1st. And if you use code FLOCK, I'm going to be answering your start set questions and your trade questions in the live streams during the season that you submit on the site. So it's flockfantasy.com, code FLOCK, if you wanted to get access to all that stuff. $34, one-time payment, not a subscription, and you were set up good to go for this year. Will more likely than not be more expensive next season. just because I don't know how many hours we're going to have to be streaming to answer your questions every night. And it may not be doable, but I'm going to try my damn best. Okay. Steve says, how did Chase Brown slip to the 209? If y'all remember, I mean, Chase Brown used to go in the 3rd round in these drafts, which seems like a lifetime ago when that would happen at this point. Okay, Cam Scatterboot goes 122. Travis Etienne off at 121. Etienne, massive faller. Dear God. Dear God. Oh. Not looking too pretty. Is Danny still in the chat here? Okay. Okay, CJ Stroud goes 126. Justin Fields 128. Jordan Love off. Let's see. What can we do here quarterback-wise? Jared Goff goes 130. If we take Justin Herbert, we probably need to look at a stack. Like we don't have... dear God. Our stacking options are slim to none. I think we go with Ramondre. And then we're going to take Judkins and send up a prayer that he signs. So now at this point, quarterback, we're rolling with Bo Nix. Wide receiver, we have Puka Nacua, Brian Thomas, Garrett Wilson, wide receiver 3, Devontae Adams, wide receiver 4, Rashee Rice, wide receiver 5. Running back, we have Alvin Kamara, RB1, Aaron Jones, RB2, Tyron Tracy, RB3, Dobbins, RB4, Ramondre, RB5, Judkins, RB6. And we have Bo Nix unstacked. We have Dobbins, but in reality, it probably doesn't correlate that well. So what we are going to do at this point is we are going to be done taking running backs. Running backs are off our board. We're going to send up a prayer that we find a quarterback that we like because right now it's looking slim. Okay. Will says, can't believe. Okay, so I know obviously everybody is in agreement that Nathan had the worst pick in the draft. If y'all watch the Flock League draft, you can see that 1,000 people have been saying that Nathan had the worst pick of all time. I think we can all agree with that. I think he probably, can't speak for him, regrets that more than anything in the world. He's taking so much heat for it. But what do y'all think the second to worst pick is? What is the second to worst pick in the Flock League draft? That's what I'm interested in. Hollywood Brown goes 143. Damari Douglas 142. Isaiah says, you making the fishy faces after his picks were so funny. Well, thank you, my friend. We got CMC, Lamb at 2. I like the Lamb at 2 pick. Golden at the 701. Bowers at the 201. Second worst, Jerry Jeudy. My friend, I took Jerry Jeudy in the middle of the second round. I mean, 7th round. It's a league I can start 4 wide receivers weekly. Chuba 3-4 turn. That was pretty bad. Travis Hunter, I was fine with. Bowers at the 201. Honestly, he's in that tier for me. I wouldn't have gone with him. But he's not in that tier. He's right down the tier below at 15 for me. So yeah, Bowers ain't the best. But the thing with like the Bowers pick is there's no way Bowers making it back to you at the 312. So if you wanted to take Bowers there, if you wanted him, you had to take him at the 201. You're not getting him at the 312. So like I'm not going to fault Nick for taking Bowers at the 201. Nick's the editor that's working on the Flock League channel this year. I'm talking about like picks that is like somebody made it and it's like, brother, you could have just got this guy in the next round. Manny says, I need tips for a 14-team draft this weekend. I'm so lost. I would get a draft sheet and I would use the 12-team start 8 sheet. 12-team start 8. You should be much better off if you do that. So we're going to be just looking at quarterback, wide receiver, tight end. We are not going to be interested in any more running backs. We can take Bryce Young, and honestly, we're just going to go with Leggett to lock in the Carolina Panthers stack. Yeah, kind of an easy turn for us. Reed says, what sheet to look at for a 16-team half PPR? 16-team half PPR, to be honest with you, I would say that you're going to need to make adjustments from the sheets. I would use the 12-team start 8, but I would move the tight ends down. And I'd move the running backs up. So I'd use, if you just use that sheet straight up, it's probably not going to go well for you. Zach says Tyler Warren before Hawkinson seems sus. Well, I was happy I got Hawkinson, but to be fair to Nathan there, Tyler Warren wasn't going to make it back to him. So I'm fine with that play. Again, the thing with the league is it's like it's everybody's biggest league of the year. People want to get their players. They're not treating it just like an underdog draft. Where an underdog draft, I'm doing hundreds of these. It's like I'm loading in and going, oh my gosh, I love player X. I need him in this. But in the Flock League draft, it is like, oh my gosh, I love player X. I really want to get him. So I'm not going to fault anybody for making a pick on a player that wouldn't have made it back to them in the following round. So again, if you're looking at the team selecting at 1, the team selecting at 12, the team selecting at 2, the team selecting at 11, it's kind of hard for them to quote unquote reach because they have 20 plus picks between their next selections. Now, the teams that are in the middle, like Sal, myself, and Nathan, if you're going out there and reaching on a guy that can make it back to you in the following round, it's like, brother, what are you doing? Isaiah says, is there anyone you regret not reaching on? Y'all know that I am who the hell is taking Matthew Stafford from us? Brother, you have Jaden Daniels. Why are you taking a third quarterback? Obviously, we needed Stafford when we had Puka and Devontae Adams. The only way this team works out is if Stafford crushes. Trent says Brian Robinson, second worst pick. That is correct. We didn't have all the information. We didn't know that Brian Robinson was complete dust at that point. But yeah, Brian Robinson there was pretty bad. I've been trying to convince the devs to trade for Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt from me, trying to give him to him. Okay. So let's move this over to what we have with quarterback, wide receiver, tight ends. We need 3. Honestly, F it. We're done at wide receiver. I mean, here at this point, we're going to need 1 quarterback and 3 tight ends. It's going to be tough to navigate. Tough to figure out. The big Q goes at 178. I'm assuming this team maybe goes running back. They only have 4. Thank God we get Jonnu here. I know that sounds weird, but with these quarterback stacking options, they're going to be extremely limited because we couldn't take a wide receiver to backdoor stack. So we needed to stack the quarterback with the tight end here. Super large field contest. So us getting Aaron Rodgers and Jonnu Smith makes a ton of sense. And I think if we were looking at, say, the best quarterback on the board would be Daniel Jones. But again, we already have Bo Nix unstacked, so I don't necessarily want to have multiple unstacked quarterbacks in a Best Ball Mania draft. And for that reason, I think we just go ahead and I think we just take maybe a suboptimal pick to get it done. Okay. Let's move this over. And I don't want to talk about the reaction stuff. Keystro, my guy, if you copy and paste the same question over and over again, you're way more likely to get banned from the chat than you are to get an answer, to be honest with you. Abito, I'm not following draft sheets for Underdog. The draft sheets that we've made are for your regular redraft leagues. Like if you're drafting on ESPN, Sleeper, Yahoo, NFL Fantasy, like that's what the sheets are for your Underdog draft, to be honest with you. The draft sheets that we put out, it's not going to help you. But Nick just got the season pass. Really appreciate you, my friend, and really hope I was able to help you out. Paul asking what our favorite pick was in the Flock League. I really liked Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt in the last round for sure. For sure. I like the Hawkinson pick too. Like I felt like we got Hawkinson at a great value. I feel like we got him priced as if he was just some like whatever waiver wire tight ends. And I think he does have a lot of upside for where we took him in the 8th. Okay. Bad Mac, always happy to see you out here, my friend. And Jonathan says, Mason asked ChatGPT for fantasy advice. I'm curious. So let's ask. So I saw the other guys in the Flock League were asking ChatGPT about the Flock League. Let me see something here. What was the best pick in the Flock League? See what ChatGPT says. Says, okay, got it. If you're asking about the best draft pick in your Flock Fantasy League, I don't have the league draft board results on my end, but if you share the results, what the hell? How did the other guys get it? Let me show y'all what the other guys did with ChatGPT today. Maybe I'm just not. Okay, here I think we're just going to go back-to-back tight end relatively easily. We're going to take Theo Johnson for sure. And then honestly, let's take Elijah Arroyo. I think our team's great, to be honest here. But let me go ahead and let me hop into our next draft. Let's not waste too much time. Okay. We're going to get into another Best Ball Mania. We're waiting for that $1,000 draft to fill. I'm not super confident that it is going to fill, to be honest with you. But we're going to try our absolute best. Okay. So let's pull up my Twitter because I know I responded to theirs. So Domain tweeted out, oh no, ChatGPT found out. He asked, what was the worst pick in the Flock draft this year? So I couldn't find a definitive analysis or consensus labeling a particular draft pick as the quote-unquote worst in the Flock League this year. However, there's a noteworthy moment from the draft coverage that stood out. In the 2025 Fantasy Football Draft Log Flock League, a viewer comment, likely reflecting genuine surprise from Mason or a co-host reacting, says, I fell out of my chair when Nathan selected Judkins in the round 5 ahead of Harvey. This line suggests that Nathan's decision to draft Quinshon Judkins in the 5th round instead of selecting a player named Harvey caught people off guard, possibly considered a puzzling or poor decision in hindsight. While not officially labeled the quote-unquote worst, it's the clearest moment of widely noted surprise or criticism in the available draft content. We are on the clock. We're going to take Bijan, who I have ranked as my running back 1. I have Barkley at RB2 ahead of Gibbs, but I'm not going to fault anybody for going in any order of the 3. Then Zach asked ChatGPT, the cuteness rankings for the Flock League and puts him at number 1. And then it uses some weird pictures of, like, Danny looks nothing like this. Bush looks nothing like this. Zach looks nothing like this. I'd say Sal and myself are maybe like the only guys that you could, like, I guess you can kind of say, if you had to pick one person of this cartoon, who that is, you pick Badaki, but it doesn't look like him. Nick says, is there any limit on how many leagues you can link to Flock Fantasy? Thanks, Mason. I don't think so. If you're using the My Teams page on the site, maybe the devs have it set up where if you have a free account, there's a limit. But if you have a paid account, I think it should be good. Chase says, I asked ChatGPT how the first round should go, and it had Eckler and Zeke in the first. Who knows? Maybe it's onto something that we aren't. Ajay says, I'm conflicted by my desire to avoid the meta and also agreeing that Bijan and Gibbs are more valuable than Saquon. Yeah, my take with it is like, so I wanted to go with Barkley at RB3, and I wanted to be like, oh yeah, y'all know I'm the guy. I always wanted to just take the young player, the young ascending guy, rather than be stuck with the old crusty vet. But realistically speaking, Saquon Barkley is the most talented running back in the NFL, while at the same time, he is in the best offense in the NFL. So how am I going to fade it? How could I do that? Brody says, can you link teams to the Flock League that are more than 16 team leagues? I believe so. If you can't, let me know and I'll look into it. Jeremiah says, with the best O-line, yeah. Elite offensive line, the most talented running back in the league with a great offense. Like, I wanted to get cute and I wanted to say, like, oh, let's fade Barkley. But I'm not going to get cute about it. We're taking Saquon Barkley. I'll go Bijan over him. Because, I mean, we saw the elite ceiling from Bijan last year. It's not like I'm worried about Devon. I'm sorry. I was just surprised Devon Achane made it this far. It's not like I'm worried about, like, Tyler Algier taking a role from him. We'll take Jonathan Taylor. I think Taylor is actually more interesting now than he was because you have Daniel Jones as the starting quarterback. I think Daniel Jones would be a better option for him rather than Anthony Richardson, considering Richardson will steal rushing touchdowns and Anthony Richardson probably have a lower checkdown rate overall as well. Okay, Zoom says he linked a 32-team league with the site, but it was too skewed to wide receiver, so it wasn't accurate. I'm going to be honest with you as well, that the My Teams page on the site is not set up for a 32-team league. If you're in a 32-team league, I'd imagine it's probably pretty inaccurate. I'm going to take Jackson Smith-Njigba here. He is the wide receiver that we've been mixing in the beginning of the third. Ben says people are worried about the HN injury. I mean, well, there was also the report from like Ricky, the dog profile on Twitter, right? Let me see if I can find his name's Ricky, right? Because I search on Twitter and I can't see him. What's the dog's profile on Twitter? Y'all know what I'm talking about. The guy who may be an insider, may not be an insider. We just frankly don't know. Solid Jakin, been with us for literally ever. Appreciate you, my guy. Okay, it's Ricky with an E. That's why it's maybe not showing up for me. Let's try Ricky with an E. Okay, I got it. Ricky Scoops. He put out that the Dolphins are front runners for a Brian Robinson deal. So the Niners, Cowboys, and Texans are also interested in trading for Brian Robinson, but the Dolphins are the front runners. Who knows how true this is, but it got almost 1 million views. So I'm going to assume that a lot of people saw it, and maybe that has something to do with the HN slide. Because don't get me wrong, if Brian Robinson goes to Miami, obviously Achane's by far and away the best running back and the starting running back. But we would have to move him down dramatically. Like, hypothetically, if Brian Robinson went to Miami, and again, I think what that would speak to is I think that would speak to probably the injury is not great. Who would you rather have? Would you rather have Brian Robinson or would you rather have Devon Achane or would you rather have Josh Jacobs? Say the Dolphins trade for Brian Robinson. Would you rather have Achane or Josh Jacobs? Let's see what people say. We got Jacobs, Achane, Jacobs. Achane, Jacobs, Achane, Jacobs, Jacobs, Achane, 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 Jacobs. So it looks like it's split 50-50. Jacobs, Achane, Jacobs, 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 Achane, Achane, Jacobs, Jacobs, Achane, Jacobs. Jacobs, Achane, Jacobs, 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 Achane, Achane, Jacobs, Jacobs. Actually, it looks like more people on the Jacobs side. See, I mean, if Brian Robinson were to go to Miami, Achane probably falls to a late second in redraft, to a late second, early third in best ball. George Pickens goes pick 42. Yeah, I'm just going to have no George Pickens or Jameson Williams if this is the cost. And 100% they could crush me. They could bury me. But I'll roll those dice. Xavier Worthy goes, y'all know Worthy's who we wanted. Oh, dear God. Let's run it. Let's take Brees. Brees, big time faller. The vast majority of drafts this offseason, he's going to be going at the beginning of the fourth to the end of the third. So I think the combination of Bijan, Taylor, Brees will be super unique in this tournament. It's going to put us so far behind at wide receiver that we are really needing to play catch up over the next few rounds. So it doesn't matter if Kenneth Walker would have made it back to us in the 5th round. We would have had no other option but to go wide receiver here. It doesn't matter if Jalen Hurts would have made it to us in the 5th round. We had 100% had to go with the wide receiver, no matter what. Okay. Jonathan says Brees over Walker, ? They are back-to-back in my rankings, but I'm especially going to be going with Brees in a tournament like this, where if we were looking at the value that we get in comparison to the majority of teams that drafted early in the offseason, we are just kind of running laps around them if we take Brees here. Okay, Calvin Ridley, Devonta Smith, both off the board. Okay, Igbuka goes 54. So Igbuka's just been flying. You'll see where we rank Igbuka in the updated rankings that drop tomorrow. And again, we'll send out that email to everybody who would use code FLOCK on Underdog tomorrow morning with those updated sheets. Hopefully we can get it. I'm going to continue to work on them late tonight. I know I'm not going to have them done tonight. I know it's going to take us until the morning. But hopefully it's not too late tomorrow for y'all. Because I saw some comments, people saying like, oh, I draft at 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. I'm sorry, 3 p.m. PST. It's like noon for me. It's noon Eastern. That's 1 p.m. for me. So I'm going to wake up and immediately try to wrap in those up. It's just there. It's 50 sheets. So it's just a lot. And honest, I think I've told y'all this before. Y'all know fantasy football is my favorite thing in the world. It's very clear at this point. But making those 50 sheets, like, and I genuinely enjoy making like regular rankings, like on the website. But like having to just like track a bunch of ADP and then make the manual adjustments for the league settings from the rankings, and then like formatting all the sheets, it sucks. Like I don't like doing it. It's like not difficult, Beto, but it's just time consuming, and it's busy work. Which realistically, what we're going to do is we'll have the developers integrated into the site where it's no longer Google Sheets next year, and it's all automatic, and we'll have like the automatic ADP tracking and everything like that, so it doesn't take me so much time next year. But the developers just had so many other things to work on the website that I was like, I can spend the 6 days in August, September, and then at the very end of July. I think we got it out like the last week of July, manually updating it if I just do it once a week. But next season on the site, it should be automatic. Okay. Elijah says ESPN has Igbuka's ADP at 98. Yeah, those platforms are just really slow to update ADP, which is why, like, if you look at Igbuka, say hypothetically, I haven't ranked him at 59 overall. What we do, if you're using the ESPN draft sheets, it will average it out between like 98 and 59. So we'll have you drafting Igbuka in rounds. Swift is a better pick, but we just have to play catch up at receiver, so we're going to go Judy. So we'll have you drafting Igbuka in like round 6 or round 7 rather than in round 5. But it'll make sure that you get him, because if he has an ADP of like round 9 on the platform you're drafting on. Okay, so Shakir goes 73. Shakir made it to the end of the 8th round in our last draft. Swift is still falling. But again, we have Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, and Brees. So we have no other option but to play catch up here at wide receiver. Turn Theory says, are the sheets still valid if I'm drafting on Sunday? 100% the sheets will be valid on Sunday. Unless you expect, like, if we get like Bijan Robinson tearing his ACL on Saturday, then you'll probably need to update that. But you should be good. Ajay says, to be honest, I think reaching on Igbuka is a bad idea. I'm not taking Igbuka here with where he goes at 54. Like, I believe I have Travis Hunter ranked ahead of him. In redraft, I definitely have Alvin Kamara ranked ahead of him. Guillermo says, just tuned in. How can you justify Brees over Kenneth Walker? Because there are a lot of tournaments done on Underdog this year for Best Ball Mania where Brees went at the 3-4 turn and Kenneth Walker went at the 4-5 turn. So I have them ranked back-to-back in my rankings. If you look at the construction of the overall tournament and the unique player combos, us taking Brees is going to lead to a much more unique combo than us taking Kenneth Walker in this range. Good News Nate says, who are you going to cut to get a kicker and a defense in the Flock League? So I actually have Dallas Goedert ranked ahead of a lot of the running backs that I like. I'm sorry, I have Dallas Goedert ranked ahead of a lot of the running backs on my team. But I'm going to show you Avery's team because Avery hasn't made any trades, and I don't want to spoil any of the trades. There have been 3 people that have made trades in the Flock League so far. I am one of them. But if you're using the My Teams page, you can go through and you can like cycle through the waiver wire options. You can see at running back, there's nothing on the waiver wire. Wide receiver, there's nothing on the waiver wire. There's definitely more receivers than there are running backs, but still. Tight ends, you have like Zach Ertz, Hunter Henry, Isaiah Likely, Mason Taylor. You have tight ends that are viable there. So even though I think Dallas Goedert is like definitely better than like a couple of my other running backs, it's like, am I going to drop Kareem Hunt? I mean, Kareem Hunt's probably my first drop for sure. But my second drop would be like Nick Chubb. Am I going to drop Nick Chubb and he may be a starting running back and there's just absolutely nothing on the waiver wire when it comes to the running back position? Or I'm going to drop Dallas Goedert when there are a bunch of tight ends on waivers in our league? So, I mean, obviously, if you look at my rankings, I have Dallas Goedert ranked well ahead of Chubb. But again, it just goes back to like figuring out my player pool. Asaf, welcome to being a YouTube member, my friend. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt goes to pick 89, back-to-back with Caleb Johnson. Pretty confident that Caleb Johnson's the better pick between the two if they're going at that cost. Thomas says, hey, Mason, which sheet do I use for an in-person 10-team, 1-flex PPR Yahoo draft? Never done an in-person draft before. Okay. I would bring 2 sheets. Okay, let me pull this up for you because this is actually really important. Okay, real quick, actually, let's figure out what we're going to do here. Darnell Mooney off the board. We're going to take Keon Coleman. We just need to continue to play catch-up at wide receiver. None of the quarterbacks do anything for us. We don't have any of the sacks at this point. And then what are we going to do at pick 99? Bo Nix goes 96. I think we got him at what? Pick 100 and like got him at like 108 in the last draft. I think Godwin's great for us to play catch up at wide receiver, but the issue is we have Addison already missing the beginning portion of the season, so I don't necessarily know if we can afford a pick like that. So I think we are going to take Andrews. No, F it. We're going to go Godwin. We're going to take Godwin. It's going to make it very difficult for our team to actually make it to the fantasy football playoff tournament, but this is a $25 buy-in with $2 million up top for first. And ultimately, you need to have a crazy high ceiling in weeks 15 through 17 if you are going to take down the tournament. So realistically, getting Chris Godwin as our wide receiver 6, I love having him as my wide receiver 6. I don't like having him on the same team that I have Jordan Addison, who will also not be available at the beginning of the year. But we're just going to have to hope that we get a hot start from a couple of the other wide receivers we drafted. But again, Thomas says, hey, Mason, which sheet do I use for a 10-team, one-person PPR Yahoo draft? Never done an in-person draft before. I would go prepared with 2 separate sheets. The first sheet that I would go prepared with is going to be sheet 25. This is for a Yahoo 10-team PPR start 7. That means a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. If your league mates are using their computers and y'all are like all collectively in person, but y'all are drafting on Yahoo, this is the sheet that you want to use because it's going to take into account Yahoo ADP. So it's going to help you get values and not have to take players too early. However, if you're doing an in-person draft like the Flock League was, where we are not actually drafting on the platform and the commissioner is just going to enter in the teams after, and instead people all have their own sheets and their own rankings they're bringing to the draft, then I would be using the page 37. This is going to be the other sheets where instead of using Yahoo ADP, it's going to take into account the average ADP of Yahoo, Sleeper, ESPN, Underdog, FFPC. It's going to create a master ADP list, then use my rankings list to adjust to your exact league formats. Then it will use the average between the two for the power rankings. So, and yes, you can print these sheets out from your computer. And if you were going to be on your computer at the draft and you don't want to have them printed out, I would just copy and paste those sheets from the sheet that I have posted to your own. That way you can delete them as your league mates make their selections. For me personally, I didn't want to be on my computer in the draft. Obviously, mine was a little bit different. I'm over there being a clown for the video, but I wanted to have a sheet that I could just cross off players. Okay. Bateman off the board at pick 114. Andrews made it all the way down to 105. Really like that Andrews cost considering the likely injury. So Tank Bigsby off the board 116. We're going to take Evan Ingram as our first tight end here at 118. The team after us had 0 running backs. They could take Brian Robinson as their first RB. That team is crazy. That is one of the crazier teams I've seen. We are the clock. There's no way in hell we could take Brandon Ayuk, player that's not going to be relevant at the beginning of the year. Wide receivers, we need guys to give us early season production. Herbert gives a couple different stacking options late. And at this point, if you look at our wide receiver core, we're not taking Darnold here. We're not taking Rodgers here. We're not taking Joe Flacco here. McCarthy's already gone. Josh Allen's already gone. Baker Mayfield's already gone. And then our tight end is Evan Ingram. So Bo Nix is already gone there. Thomas says don't own a computer. Yeah, then I would definitely just print out the sheets, my guy. Laceless shoes says, Mason, you're ruining me. That's the plan. I know everybody wants us to call JCM Bill, but again, my opinion is T-Mac, Bill, et cetera, you don't get to choose your own nickname. The nickname that you get is the nickname that is the most natural and people give you. Shout out the movie F1 with Brad Pitt. Okay, CJ Stroud goes 129. I see people saying in the chat, don't you know zero running back doesn't work anymore? So one thing that I really disagree with is like just copying and pasting whatever draft strategy worked last year and assuming that it's guaranteed to work this season. In my opinion, that's far from the case. However, I will agree that waiting until round 10 to take your first running back, that's not going to work because it's never worked. If you want to go zero RB and take your first running back in round 6 and then slam them after, by all means, do it. But you can't really get away with waiting until round 10 to take your first guy. Definitely not at pick 119. Antler Eyes, happy to see you, my friend. Hope that you are doing well. Roble says, will the fan be submitting clips for the weekly Flock League videos? Let me know in the chat. Do y'all want to, I can message him saying, hey, you have to. But do y'all want to see the fan in Flock League video clips this year? Yes or no? Please let me know. Or would you rather just see more of yours truly? It's not a bad alternative. We got yes, 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 yes. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, everybody wants to see him. We got one person saying no. I will let him know. Just kidding. I just kind of want to see what you are going to say. He was going to submit clips regardless. Humble Doge says, are the sheets updated regularly? So the rankings posted on flockfantasy.com. These are updated. You can see like here when you sort by rankings, how often each creator updates them. I definitely update mine almost every single day, if not every single day. But the draft sheets themselves, like those 50 sheets, they take 8 hours plus for me to update. So those get updated once a week on Friday. The rankings on the site get updated every day, essentially, for me. The Ladster says he updates his a lot as well. Cozy Life says, you're hopping into Mastiff today. Yes, I'm currently in the $1,000 Mastiff lobby, but to be honest with you, I don't know if it's going to fill. If it doesn't fill, we'll get in another Basketball Mania draft after this. So we're just going to take the falling value of Trevor Lawrence. We'll be sitting here with 2 unstacked quarterbacks so far. Not necessarily looking ideal, but what do you want from me? Okay. Reed says, no cap though. Sammy was great to talk to at the meetup. He was on his best behavior. I had a stern talking with him beforehand. Badaki, I miss you too, my son. I mean, it was a really, like, we didn't make the vlog. I wish it would have. Also, I really wanted Trey Harris here to pick up with the big Q, which kind of sucks, but we'll take Javonte as the backup. But it was a really heartfelt moment. I was hoping it was going to make the video, but before we went to the draft, I took Badaki to the park. He got in a little swing set. I pushed him. We had a lot of fun. Then we got on the seesaw, up and down, up and down, up and down. Just had ourselves a little blast. Always fun spending time with my son. And I hope I get more time with him next year. I only get to see him once a year. The Latzer says, I saw the next video privated on the Flock League YouTube. God, I need it. Yeah, so the editor, so the draft video was made by Thomas, and Nick helped him with like graphics and stuff. But the videos going into the future are going to be made by Nick, because Thomas needs to make the videos on this channel. So Nick is going to make this next video. He just posted it on the Flock League thing as an unlisted. Y'all can't see it. Only I can. And then Danny, you can watch it if you want. And I gave him my notes of like, hey, this is how to change it. This is how to make it better. So he's coming back with version 2 that I'm sure it's going to be good to go from that point. And we should have the first video drop of an actual trade happening in the Flock League. Nick says, Mason using Badaki to pick up the hot moms at the park. That's exactly what it was. I was telling Badaki, hey, go tell, can you go tell that lady over there how good of a dad I am? Can you tell her that you can't find your dad and then explain to her exactly what I look like? Okay. Dylan, it's maybe coming out, so it may be ready tomorrow night. I'll need to talk with the rest of the creators if they want it posted tomorrow night or if they want it posted on Saturday. Tone says OnlyFans ? Yeah, OnlyFans is my biggest platform. That's definitely where I got started and where I blew up. And I think I've explained this, but I leveraged that like the true genius I am to become a fantasy football YouTuber. The Lazar says, you know my vote. I know your vote for sure. So Tyler Algier goes once. Okay. Chig goes 163. Okay, let me see what has gone between our picks. F you. Oh my gosh. I thought we were going to get Strange to pair up with Lawrence and actually complete our stack. God dang, you really had to do us dirty like that. Is the big Q gone? No, he's not. We're going to have to reach all the way down the board to take the big Q, who God knows if he's going to be relevant at all this year. But you can't have no stacks with your underdog team. And not in Best Ball Mania. Maybe if you're in a Flock League tournament, you can get away with only having like one stack. But we're going to take the big Q. Matt says, so annoyed the pugs are slow. So I was about to do my third, and now I'm in a freaking slow. I don't think they were, I don't know, but I could be wrong. I didn't get any, but I'd be surprised if they were all slows. I know this has happened in the past with underdog tournaments. It's how they've structured it. We're going to take the big Q. He's probably a 0 at this point. All my bags are probably done and dusted, but we need somebody to pair up with Justin Herbert. And then what? We have around 16, 17, 18 left. But so underdog, like some tournaments, if they are going to be like, if they're about to fill and it's like the last few drafts in the tournament, for whatever reason, they take away the fast and they only do the slows. Which obviously there's a reason behind it. They don't just do it for no reason. Now, I'm not smart enough to run a company like Underdog, so I have no idea what it would be for. But can somebody in the chat confirm, was the Pug tournament on Underdog only slow drafts, or was it fast drafts too, and did it just turn into a slow at the end? This is a good comment. Lou says, Mason, my goat, can you recommend any restaurants in Istanbul? Thanks, my G. If you don't know, Istanbul is where everybody goes to get the hair transplants. And I'll be there myself sooner rather than later. But, so Jonnu Smith off, Rogers goes. So that team there at 12 does the same thing that we did. So Tesla 183. Zach Ertz goes 184. Trent says, just got done with my 4-hour auction draft. I cannot even imagine. Imagine if we tried to do the Flock League as an auction draft. That would just be a disaster. Okay. Thank God we get Sam Darnold to pair up with JSN. If we didn't get that, we would have been toast. We would have been done and dusted. We want one more running. Honestly, we may go slim tight end here. Like, we could go Dimey Brown, pair him up with Lawrence. Or we can take a third tight end instead. Yeah. Oh, if we get like if we would have got that could be something that'd be fun. If we did an auction league and I could hire like a professional auctioneer, like starting the bidding off at $2, $2. Do I have $2? Do I have $3? Do I have $4? Oh, Nathan in the back. Nathan just stands up. 75 on Quinshon Judkins. Do we take the 8th receiver? No, we're not going to. I'm going to take Jatavion Sanders. Phil says you can use the Power Query to update the draft sheets. It makes it easier to update a lot of changing data for Excel. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a monkey clicking buttons in Excel. I don't exactly know what's going on. I got ChatGPT on my side. I got a movie on another monitor, and I'm just grinding. So you could be right. But the thing that makes it tough is my rankings for each format are different. So like how I rank the players in the overall rankings in a 10-team single flex half PPR format is completely different than a 12-team double flex full PPR league. So like the player list is like the player rankings was tough. Punt says, weren't you a finance major? Actually, I got 2 degrees from the University of Texas. 1 in exercise science. Hashtag Ironman. 2, biology. So if anybody needs to know anything about the powerhouse of the cell, hit me up. But if you need to know something about Excel sheets, maybe not the best. Nice and Blunt says, doing a subscriber league auction draft live on YouTube Wednesday night. Can't wait. Good luck, my friend. Here's the issue doing an auction on YouTube. If somebody bails halfway through, it's all ruined. Like if somebody leaves a draft halfway through, like a regular draft, who cares? It will auto them. The draft won't be ruined. But in an auction, rest in peace if somebody leaves. Because it'll be a tough scene. Maybe if they have real money on the line, they won't leave, though. Cool Man says, why is my jaw clicking, Mr. Biodegree? Sounds like you're using it a bit too much. You're opening that mouth a bit too wide, a little too often. Now, for a biology expert like myself, I know typically that's not a male problem that they come across very often. Typically, females have that problem. But when I'm done with this live stream, message me. I can maybe prescribe some fixes. Okay, we're going to take Justice Hill. I think Justice Hill in a regular redraft league, he's buns. When are you ever going to know when to start him? But in a best ball draft, I think you get usable weeks. And it looks like that $1,000 draft is not going to be filling. So we are going to get into another Best Ball Mania draft. We're going to have to change the title of this live stream. I'm going to leave the $1,000 draft that we were in because that ain't going anywhere. And we will get it back on here at pick 4. Okay. Now, pick 4. Where did we just pick? 3? About the same in the early rounds. The question is, how do our early round picks set up what we need to do in the middle rounds? Like, obviously, we went very heavy on a running back early in the last. BDO says, what age did you start this channel and when did you know you wanted to do this full time? So I started this when it was 2019 January. So I was 20 years old. I hadn't turned 21 yet. I was 20 years old and I was more obsessed with dynasty fantasy football than anybody you could ever imagine in your entire life. I did not know anybody in real life that liked fantasy football 1% as much as I did. So from the time I was like 14 to 20, all I did from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed was listen to Dynasty Fantasy Football Podcast. I realized when I was 20, I talk about this all day in a group chat anyway. Why don't I just go ahead and start a YouTube channel? And actually, I can meet people every single week and talk about it with them. Did that for a couple of years. Loved, and I've realized I also loved YouTube. I loved making videos. So, did that for like 18 months, posting multiple videos every single day. Never thinking ever that it could even be a part-time job. I never thought I could ever make money from it. Like maybe a year in or 6 months in or whatever it was, I set up like a $3 Patreon and people I had like 10 people sign up for a $3 Patreon and I was losing my mind calling my dad, telling him like, you'll never believe it, but we get $30 a month now. That can buy me a couple lunches. And then like it got to a point where I was making like $100 or $200 a month from, no more than that, probably like $200, $300 a month. Cause there was definitely a point where I was like doing the math and I was like, I can buy lunch every single day from this. I was like, I'm actually making, and I was in college. So of course, $300, $400 a month is crazy. And especially when I thought I would never make any money from it. And then I uploaded a video titled Sprint to Your Waiver Wire and Add These Players ASAP. It was like the first redraft video that I'd ever posted. And then it went very well. I remember I was like at the Zilker Park, which is a massive park in Austin with my girlfriend and all her friends. And then I opened up YouTube Studio, usually expecting like my videos get a couple hundred views. And it had like 10,000. And I was like, oh my God, what just happened? And then I just sat there like the entire day when we were at the park, just refreshing YouTube Studio, seeing like the views go up and it got to like 20,000. I was like, this is crazy. Went home, started live streaming. Like 30 people were watching me. I thought it was the biggest deal in the world, which to be fair, it is super big deal. I'm going to take Taylor over Lad. And then start streaming every single day. Then people started super chatting. And then I was making like $100 to $200 a day. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievably crazy. And then at the end of the year, I made enough where like, obviously if I had a wife and kids, it wouldn't have been enough to be full-time, but I made enough to like, when I did taxes, like this is a full-time salary for a lot of people. And then I was like, I know I can do this 10 times better than what I just did. So I was like, F it. Let's not go to med school. Let's try to do this instead. And then I went for it. And then obviously super scary. No idea if it was going to work or not. Hence, I posted every single day for years and years and years, a video a day, and live streamed nonstop. We're going to take Higgins. So. But. And then now we're here. And then I won $150,000 in Underdog and everything changed. Dylan says, over the summer, Danny, I was watching y'all's 2021 Dynasty videos. Oh, that's hilarious. Danny was a young lad back then. Yeah, Nick has been with us forever. But yeah, I mean, I started on YouTube and I never thought in a million years it could ever be anything close to a job. Like now, like realistically, and it's all because of y'all, of course. I mean, it goes without saying, but more successful than I ever thought I would be. More successful than I deserve, for sure. And whenever I started, I never thought in a million years that could be anything close to a job. It was just a fun thing to do. It was just like what I like. Lou says, look how far you've come. Fantasy football creator that doesn't draft Judkins at the 507. Honestly, back when I was 20 years old and I was dynasty pilled, maybe I would draft. The issue with Nathan, and I'm going to sit down. I'm really going to talk to him about this. Nathan's very young as well. Nathan's domain's very similar to how I am. I mean, how I was when I was younger. Domain is 100% dynasty first. The good thing, they crush at it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But Nathan needs to just take a chill pill with the rookies. So I'll pull them aside. I'll have a conversation with them. I'll go, when we're drafting redraft teams, 2025 production's the thing that matters. Oh my gosh, this is the funniest comment I've ever seen. Dylan says, I gotta send this in the group chat. Oh my gosh, Dylan just roasted the crap out of Danny here. Oh, that is hilarious. I know that was a gross laugh, but you gotta let me do it. We're gonna take Breece Hall. Again, we're gonna take the falling value. I know that Breece Hall moved down our rankings dramatically. We have him back-to-back with Kenneth Walker, but the same reason that we said in the last draft, the majority of these Best Ball Mania teams, Breece was taken at the 3-4 turn, so I'll take the ADP falling value and get the unique combo. But I'm sorry, I got to pull this up in the group chat. I got to send this. This is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Oh my gosh. Okay. Kenneth Walker made it all the way down to 51. We almost got him on the way back. We'll take Sutton. I think it's a solid team. Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall at running back, CeeDee Lamb, TA against Cortland Sutton at wide receiver. I really like it. Now, what has Danny said? Latzer says, when you're older, you'll understand that moving out is a life glitch. I don't know what that means, but everybody's saying smart man. Yeah, Danny lives in Canada. If y'all don't know, Canada has a total population of about 10,000 people, and they've only built 3,000 houses. So the Canadian housing situation is not the best at the moment. Okay. Beto says, how lively is the flock chat? Pretty lively, especially right now since we're all in Austin. Or Danny, how many messages do you think were sent in our chats today? Yeah, here's one thing that I am rooting on. I am rooting for Judkins to come, absolutely crush, be a league winner this season, and Nathan wins the league because of it. That's what I'm rooting for. It would be crazy. Reed says, I didn't move out till 26. Now I have a wife and a baby. No shame in waiting. Well, I'm jealous of you, my friend. C-Sim says, will we get another Flock League call like last year during the stream? I don't know what that means. Or like last year during the stream? Oh, yeah. We're going to try to do Flock League calls weekly this year. That's what you're asking. Okay, so we're going to get Joe Burrow here more likely than not to pair up with T. Higgins. I'd be surprised if this team took him. Yeah, so we're going to get Burrow to pair up with Higgins. Natural pick, best player on the board, completes the stack. We've been getting screwed at wide receiver. I'm sorry, screwed with our stacks over the past few drafts now. So kind of easy to just go ahead and lock it in. Okay. Cardinal says, Mason, is your first child going to be named something related to fantasy football? Certain player that helped you win the 150K, maybe. Not going to lie. Not a bad idea. Do we take Addison? Yeah, we're just going to take Addison. Easy pick when we're optimizing for weeks 15 through 17. What should we name our firstborn? We'll see what happens, but like, let's say hypothetically, Saquon wins me the Flock League this year. Saquon Dodd has a ring to it. Yeah, CMC Dodd. Just name him CMC. John says, Mason, do you have a team you refuse to draft from? I mean, everybody's common answer would be let me just go to my Underdog exposures and filter through teams and see what teams I've drafted the least of. Because obviously the worst offenses project out to be the Browns and the Saints. Everybody knows that, but they're also the cheapest offenses too. So it's all about the price. So let me see my actual exposures of these guys. So Browns, I have Judkins in 13.7% of my drafts. Oof. We have Judy in 11.5%, Njoku in 10.5%, Tillman in 9.7%, Sampson in 7%, Jerome Ford in 3.5%. So it looks like we're overweight the Browns. Chargers, I have the Big Q in 19%, Najee in 12%, Keenan in 9%, Herbert in 8%, Ladd in 8%, Amari and Hampton in 8%, Trey Harris in 6%. What other offenses are there? Steelers, I have Metcalf in 10, Caleb in 9, Jonnu in 8, Warren in 8, Roman in 7, Rodgers in 7, Frymuth in 4. It's the Vikings. Vikings, I have Addison in 13, McCarthy in 11.5. Like, obviously, I have balanced exposures here. What's it? Let me just. Bengals. I'm underweight Cincy, to be honest. I think I'm probably the most underweight the Cowboys. Yeah, I'm underweight every relevant Cowboys player. Now, don't get me wrong. I made the mistake where I was drafting round 18 Jalen Tolbert thinking that was going to be a thing. And dear God, that couldn't have been a worse call. But outside of that, all the other Dallas guys, we are underweight. Baker Mayfield, we have no Bucks. Pittman, we can go Pittman. We could go Baker and Godwin. Danny says, my bad for putting you on Tolbert. Danny said, how to switch to give a little warning. Benjamin says, Mason naming his son Saquon is the funniest shit ever. Be honest, I was trying to find the most preposterous name that I could say. We're going to take Andrews. Last draft, we took a wide receiver in this round. I think we went Godwin, but here we have so much flexibility. We can just take best player available. We don't have to stress it. What would be the most preposterous name for me to name my son or daughter? Jameer would be a little goofy for me. Amon-Ra, Puka, Devon. Devon Dodd would be a good name. Tyreek. Omarion. Omari's a good name, though. Lamar. Xavier. Jackson Smith. Quinshawn. CD. Has to be something that stands out that's like, oh, that would be crazy, crazy. Debo Dodd would be pretty good. We got Rashid. Dylan, I'm not going to lie. You're on a roll tonight, all right? You're on a roll tonight, Dylan. You're close to getting banned from the chat a couple days ago. But you're on a roll tonight, I'll be honest. Antler Ice is Bill Dodd. Family name. Stephon Dodd. Trevion Dodd. Lad Dodd. Lad Dodd. This would be a hard name because we're rocking with a total of 8 letters and 5 of them are D's. This is 60% of the names D's there. Okay, Loveland off 113. Let's move this down. So we have a lot of flexibility, right? In terms of quarterbacks here, neither May or Caleb complete any stacks that we currently have. Goff does nothing for us. McCarthy, we can go McCarthy on the way back. We take May here. We could look at Kyle Williams, Damari Douglas, Hunter Henry. They would all still be in play. In terms of players that we'd take outside of May, like I don't necessarily see who stands out. So we're just going to take Drake May. We'll take Drake May and then call it a day at quarterback. And then we'll look for the Patriots options. Todd Dodd. No, great Dodd. Dylan, your jokes are good today. I don't know what is. I don't know what it is. Little Jordan Dodd. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. King Josh says update on the Mastiff. I left because it looks like it's not filling. Equinemius St. Dodd. I like that one too. Amon-Ra St. Dodd. And Danny, we know that your firstborn son would be named Lad. Don't lie to me. So Jordan Love goes 123. We can take I don't like Ayuk and Jordan Addison on the same team. No, I'm not a big Mims guy. We already have enough Keenan. Do we reach on Javonte? We'll reach on Javonte. I'm pretty sure we took Javonte in the 12th round in the last draft. I mean, still the most likely starter for Dallas. I mean, is it high probability? No, but I mean, it's a higher probability than anybody else you got to put your name on. So we'll go with him. Okay, CJ Stroud 127. And honestly, would I rather have McCarthy and Judkins or May and Javonte? And not a super easy call there. We could have made the wrong call for sure. Okay, Lawrence goes 130. Frank says, bro, if you win, Best Ball Mania's got to be Underdog. So I've never gotten a tattoo and I've never thought about getting a tattoo, but I have wondered if I win Best Ball Mania, do I have to get an underdog tattoo? I feel like you win $2 million on Best Ball Mania. An underdog tattoo has to be in play. Danny says he will if he wins. Now the question is, Danny, if I win, will you get a tattoo of my little cartoon face from the Flock League? Brett says, I never signed up for Underdog. If I sign up with code FLOCK and put in $5, it's basically a free $50 entry. So I believe you actually have to deposit $10, but when you play $5, then you get $50 added into your account. So yeah, it's like you deposit 10 and then you get 50 added in. Danny says, if you share some of the winnings, absolutely. Danny, serious question right now. How much would it cost? Let's think real quick who we're going to go with. We're going to take Dallas Goedert, and then I know who we want on the way back. But y'all know I take a lot of Goedert here. I think taking Andrews and Goedert together, I don't have to take another tight end if I don't want to. But Danny, serious question. How much would it cost for you to tattoo that cartoon face on you? Obviously, we'd go to a professional shop. You don't actually have to do it. You just have to lay there. Give me a number. We can maybe make it happen in this live stream right now. If we do it tomorrow, it probably can be included in the draft video. I'm sorry, the trade video. It comes out Saturday. Okay. Danny says you never thought about it. Well, let's see a number. Let's see your number, my guy. Kyle Williams goes, we wanted Kyle Williams. Freaking Justin Herbert, we're at 148. How the hell is Herbert still available? We'll take Demario Douglas. Like, we wanted to stack with Drake May. When we go Burrow and Drake May, I'm not taking a third quarterback. So, like, this team that gets Herbert at pick 149, congrats on the crazy value, especially if you have Keenan. Danny says 25% equity on your underdog teams this year, and I may consider. Considering if I win Best Ball Mania, that's $500K. It ain't worth it. For the enjoyment of the clip, it wouldn't be worth it, my guy. Brandon says, Mason, Venmo me 5 bands and send me the tattoo shop address. Okay. The Dork side says, who would be the funniest Flock League member to be stuck in Denny's for 24 hours? Who would suffer the most? Also, if the dev team loses, do they have to stay there? No. The creators didn't like this rule, but the dev team and the editors, they're in play, and the fan, Sammy, as well, they're all in play to win 10,000. Like, first place prize, if they win, they get the 10K. However, the punishment, only the creators are in play for it. So myself, Sal, Danny, Corey, Avery, Nathan, Badaki, Zach. Us 8. In terms of who I would want to lose the most, I would want it to be somebody who would like play into it and not cry about it. So I could be wrong. I would not want the land guys to lose. I think Zach would be the most miserable. And I think Zach would be so miserable that he would be unwilling. We're going to take Hunter Henry here to stack with Drake May and to get our third tight end. We don't need the third tight end, but we're rolling with it. But I think if Zach were to lose, he would be so miserable with it that, one, there's a chance that he wouldn't come to America. He may stay on the other side of the world. And 2, I don't know how entertaining it would be, because we would be watching somebody in the live stream get literally tortured. Same thing with Badaki. Nathan, I would just get so much enjoyment out of it. He would also be tortured. Nathan's gluten-free, so he's going to have to eat God knows what while he's there. Like, his dietary restrictions, I'd be surprised if there are a bunch of options for him. We're going to take Wan'Dale Robinson. Again, Wan'Dale, decent best ball wide receiver. Never make a difference in your regular redraft league. But the best live stream undoubtedly would be if I lost. Because, I mean, I just know I'd have some good bits planned. And also, I would try to eat more food on a live stream than anybody's ever seen consumed. Plus, I said if I lost, my head will be shaved bald in the Denny's. But realistically, if we look at my team, there's no way I lose. So, I would say Danny or I would probably be the funniest in the stream. I would get the most enjoyment out of seeing Nathan. Sal, I would just kind of feel bad. Sal's super healthy dude. For him to be stuck in a Denny's for 24 hours, I don't know how he could manage it. Danny and I would take it like the champs. I think Danny and I would take it the best. Avery and Zach would be the most miserable. I would almost feel bad for Zach, and I'd be worried about him not coming to America. I know Nathan would be just as miserable, if not more, but I know he would be a team player and take one for the team and go for it. But Henry says, how many pancakes do you think, or that's Beto, how many pancakes do you think you eat? I can eat so much, you have literally no idea. In high school, my friends and I we would go to Hooters all-you-can-eat wings, and they were boneless wings. They were pretty much chicken nuggets with sauce. And we had a competition of who could eat the most boneless wings at Hooters. They would bring them out 10 wings at a time for your plate. But what's it called? I ate 67. And it got to the point where one of my friends and I, we were just going back and forth. He would eat one, I'd eat one to stay ahead of him. He'd eat one, I'd eat one to stay ahead of him. And then I think he was at like 64. He ate one and then had to run to the bathroom to throw up. So I think I could eat a ridiculous amount. I could eat a ridiculous amount. And yeah, forgot y'all with your 6-7 jokes, which I still don't understand. Charlie says, I once ate 18 corn dogs in 40 minutes in a competition. I was 9. Now that's definitely way more impressive. That's insane. I'm not taking either of these guys. We can go, how many do we need? Okay, we're going to go Pat Bryant. We only need 2 more running backs. We'll pair up Pat Bryant and Cortland Sutton. Looks like the wide receiver room has been thinned out a little bit more in Denver. I really like this team. I love this team, to be honest. Running back's a little bit weak, but maybe a little too weak. Really need to hit on a couple of these RBs here. Okay. I realized I did have the 607 in the draft. I should have set a 6-7 thing for y'all in the video. But Diamond Brown goes 192. Denny says Sal in a Denny's would be low-key hilarious. My issue with Sal in the Denny's is I think he would just like, we have freaking Jonathan Taylor. I don't want to take DJ Giddens in that context. We'll go Miles Sanders. Just monopolize the Dallas backfield. We'll go, what if Jaden Blue's a turd and they don't bring in Brian Robinson? But the thing with Sal is if he were to lose, I think he would get to the Denny's and he'd go like, oh, okay, I got to be here for 24 hours. Let me think about this logistically. I'm going to do all my work, and he's just going to sit there on his laptop working. That's what I think the live stream would be like. So I would do a little bit of work. I'd probably be doing a bunch of underdog drafts. But we'll see. But obviously, again, if you didn't hear, Underdog did change their new customer promo. If somehow you're not already on Underdog, you just got to play $5 and they had $50 in your account. Absolutely ridiculous. And with that $50, you can hop in 2 Best Ball Mania drafts. You can hop in a bunch of the $3 drafts, $5 drafts, whatever the hell you want to do. Again, that's best ball, no time commitment during the year, not replacing your main league, just some extra fun drafting on the side. And with that as well, you're going to get access to all our draft sheets, all our updated rankings every Friday until the season starts for your exact league settings, the whole 9 yards. And it will get emailed to the email address that you signed up to Underdog Fantasy with every Friday. And I always leave that link in the description as well as the comment section where it says draft with us here. But I'm assuming the vast majority of y'all are already on Underdog. Okay, and what else is there to say? If you're not able to take advantage of that Underdog deal anymore, if you wanted to get those updated draft sheets, which I'm about to spend all night working on, rest in peace me, we will take Kareem Hunt. I wanted Justice Hill, but we'll go Hunt. You can also get a 2025 Flock Fantasy Season Pass. That's going to not only hook you up with all those draft sheets, but also it's going to give you all the draft guides to everybody else on the site. It's going to give you everybody's weekly and rest of season rankings all the way up until January 1st. And on top of that, you get access to all the tools on the site, trade calculator, trade finder, my team's page, the whole 9 yards. And again, it's only $34. In my opinion, it's by far and away the best fantasy football site to help you with your regular redraft league this year. To be honest with you, it's not going to be the best fantasy football website to help you with your underdog drafts. I think you can find better websites if that's what you care most about. But for your regular redraft league, this is the thing you want. You can say that with confidence. And at the same time, I can say with confidence that it's probably the cheapest thing you're going to find as well, if not guaranteed to be the cheapest thing you're going to find. $34, one-time purchase, gets you access to everything until January 1st. And it's a single purchase. It's not a subscription. Thank you again. I really appreciate you. And I really hope I get to see you out with that live stream tomorrow night.